Hey everybody, so in this video I'd like to talk about maintaining your past piano pieces. So some of what I'll talk through will include maintaining and growing your piano repertoire, what usually happens to pieces when they're done for now, and how you can avoid having absolutely nothing ready to play for anybody, including yourself, and how performance and mental practice are, in my opinion, the strongest and most time efficient maintenance frameworks, some other maintenance frameworks. So those are some of the things that I may talk about. And on this channel, I hope to share with you strategies, mindsets, insights, etc., often of my own creation that I hope will help you in your piano playing, and hopefully other areas of your life as well. So I'll start talking you through some of these topics here. So in my mind, it's a really nice thing to have a repertoire of pieces that you can choose from, and anytime that you like, you can play for others, you can play for yourself. It is a little bit different coming from a classical background, and whether it's classical music or other pieces from sheet music, I do feel like it's a little bit of a different animal compared to maybe those that are primarily jazz or pop pianists. There's certainly ways that you can optimize for just sheer number of pieces. If you, let's say, play the same 4 chords and you sing over those same 4 chords, I mean, you could have hundreds or thousands of pieces or songs in your repertoire if you're going for that sort of a goal. And I think that that's great. I'm talking more specifically about either classical or really any music from sheet music and how you can continue to maintain pieces over time and then grow your piano repertoire and have this growing compendium of pieces that you can play from memory that were originally from sheet music. So what happens usually to piano pieces in many different contexts in the classical / traditional-ish like settings of either it's classical or it's something related to that, is that we will just forget the pieces basically after that given event or thing is done with. So exams, that's a very common scenario. It's more often children that will take them, and it could be beginner stuff, it could be much more advanced pieces, and after that level exam is over, usually we will just forget about those pieces altogether forever. After recitals are over, so you've prepared for a performance, maybe you've prepared for a competition. I mean, in competition, sometimes you'll play the same pieces over and over and over again over a longer period of time. But usually after a recital is over, whether it's for children or for adults, those pieces are done with after you're done. We don't talk about them again. We don't really revisit them if you're in a normal lesson structure. And even in, like, let's say conservatory, if you're doing a bachelor's degree, master's degree in piano performance, the topic of maintaining past pieces is normally not talked about too much. So even if it's a degree recital, you've performed your bachelor's degree senior recital or your master's recital, whether you're a piano performance major or maybe you're a music major or maybe you're just like an unusually serious amateur pianist, I mean, after that performance is over, like that's it for those pieces. So I think that there's real practicality to not completely forgetting about your pieces. And there are definitely arguments against this that do make sense. I have seen other prominent YouTubers or other people that I won't name, and when I say other, I'm not saying I'm a prominent YouTuber. I barely know what the heck I'm doing on YouTube. So rather I should say prominent YouTubers. I've heard some of them say like, oh, it's not worth the effort to like keep up the other pieces. Instead, you can quickly revive them later. And I think that there is merit to that argument to some extent, but a lot of the people that give that advice, to be honest, they tend to be supremely talented. And if you are too, and maybe you're at a much higher level of talent than me, then that's great, because those people, they can revive pieces so quickly. And frankly, if you use my methodologies, if you look on my channel, you look at my logical methodology playlist, physical methodology playlist, if you learn the pieces really well from the start, to be honest, you can revive pieces very quickly. But I'm really talking about still being able to have pieces in the background or in your back pocket at any time. And I would say that the easiest way, or one of the easiest ways, is just to perform them gradually less often than when you were trying to perform the piece actively. So for example, let's say that you were preparing for a recital and you were doing daily cold performance, meaning without warming up, you're just performing your piece each day, and you can search, performance, like how to perform for anyone, anywhere, anytime, David Chang, or look at the performance playlist on my channel if you're curious about that. But let's say you were performing every day for yourself. Well, after the recital or the event is over, you can perform every other day, and then you can reduce it to like once or twice a week. And then it could be once a week. It could possibly be even once every 1 or 2 weeks, or even less frequently if you have a lot of experience, but probably once a week, and or once every 1 or 2 weeks if you feel like you have more experience. And just the time energy cost of performing that piece or set of pieces once a week or so, you have it in your back pocket. Now, if this goes on for like several months, in your weekly playthrough, you may find that you're like, wow, like that was really bad, because it's going to dip in quality. I mean, you're not practicing it very diligently, you're just performing it once a week. So that's expected, and so if you want, you can polish it up a bit and then relegate it back into the background as a background process again. And that is a very, very small time energy cost to at least have it in the back of your mind, and you can always polish it using my logical methodology. If you search on my channel, or you search David Chang 14 Layers of Strategy, you can use some of those methods. And the reason we want to do this is so that you actually have pieces that are ready to perform for others or for yourself. And so in line with my idea that you should be able to play for anyone, anywhere, anytime. Even if you don't have pieces that are in like tippy-top shape, at least you can play pieces at like 75-80% capacity, and you don't need to make a ton of excuses for yourself, although you could if it's with close friends or whatever. I would suggest just performing the piece for them, not explaining it, not explaining like, oh, I haven't had time to like practice this, and then you can like talk about it afterwards if you like. I think that's good performance training for yourself. But in any case, like if you go over somebody's plays, if they come over your plays, they're like, hey, oh, you should play us something. Like, I know you're taking lessons, or oh, I know you've been like playing piano a lot, or oh, I heard you played piano. Like, could you play us something? Or you encounter a piano on the street, or you encounter a piano at the airport, like I think there was a student that encountered one at like Newark Airport, or you encounter one in like I had a student who was encountering a piano in like in London, in Paris, like in the train stations there. Can you sit down and perform anything? And before you say, I don't care about performing for other people or in public, can you sit down at your piano or your keyboard at home and perform for yourself and joyously hear the music that you worked so hard to learn? I think personally it's a bit of a shame if you can't do that at all. Now, a great, fantastic counter argument that I totally hear would be if you're like, David, that doesn't matter to me at all, even for myself. I'm totally fine with not being able to play any piece for myself. I'm happy just learning the new pieces. That's totally fair, in which case this video is probably largely irrelevant to you, although hopefully some of the points were interesting so far. So, but unless you're at that extreme, then having anything ready to play is a nice idea, even for your own self-enjoyment, but it could possibly be for your close friends, family, or maybe you like performing. And I remember even being pretty deeply in the piano world when I finished one recital program, and I was playing like virtuosic pieces and so on, not at a super high level, but at a high level compared to regular people. And I had finished one recital program and I was learning the pieces for the next one, and I think somebody asked me to play something and I really couldn't play anything. And that was like strange to me. I'm like, man, I've been playing piano all these years, and somebody's asked me to play something and I'm unable to play anything right now. And I can have these excuses, but it's strange. It's like I've dedicated like my whole life to piano and I'm not able to play anything, and that just felt weird or wrong to me. So anyway, the avoiding of that feeling that it's like I don't have anything ready to play, like that is partially hopefully what this video will help to solve for you. So again, even performing the pieces once a week just for maintenance, that could lead to a very high return. It's just like, could be, if you have 3-minute piece, 3-minute time energy cost roughly every week or so, and at least you can play it at like decently if you learned it well in the first place, hopefully. And I mentioned at the beginning, I think of performance and mental practice as the strongest, most time efficient maintenance frameworks. again, because performance, if you have a 3-minute piece, it's just a 3-minute time cost once a week. Now, mental practice is not physically playing, but like mentally imagining, not the sheet music, but like yourself literally playing through the piece. And that can be just as powerful a framework as physical performance itself. For the sake of not making this video super, super long, I would suggest just going to my mental practice playlist on my channel or searching David Chang mental practice. But the playlist really has like a lot of really good ideas in an order that's pretty good. And I'll give one idea here. So if you're playing your piece, try playing silently on the surface of the keys. See if you can do that. So you're playing, but you're not making any sound, you're just playing silently on the surface. And then at any time, start to create sound. You'll find you're able to, like, if you're doing this correctly, you'll be able to start from lots of different areas of the music. Then try playing just in the air or in your lap, like you're playing a given piece. And then while you're playing in the air, you're still like imagining the keyboard. And usually it will help if you've done some eyes closed practice or you've done some silent practice. And then at any time, bring your hand to the keyboard or to the piano and start playing. And you might be able to start from different areas from memory, areas you've never started from memory before. And then the final step in this one tip that I'm giving here in terms of mental practice would be to not move your fingers in the air and just imagine moving your fingers and see if you can accurately imagine that. Imagine your fingers playing on the piano. And it doesn't need to be great visual imagination. For me, I like to say my mental practice is like a blind person's mental practice. I'm not good at picturing visual things, ironically, but I'm good at imagining the touch. It's like those areas of the piano are lit up in the dark for me. And then while you're imagining it, try to start playing at the piano at those different random spots, just like I was saying earlier on in this explanation. So if you do this well, you will gain a conscious awareness. It's pure conscious awareness of your music that you never could have even imagined before. And it's fantastic for memory, it's fantastic for maintenance, for learning new pieces. Like I could go on and on about it. But basically, that could also just be a 3-minute time cost of just imagining what it is that you're playing. And sometimes you can actually imagine it in a shorter amount of time than 3 minutes and not have any kind of negative physical things happen because you're not actually training your fingers to do it wrong. You're able to mentally imagine it that clearly. So for me, like, whether it's performing through the pieces or it's just mentally playing the pieces from beginning to end in my mind. And again, the mental practice playlist on my channel goes into way, way more detail. There's many more tips. There's also like the series of like 10 different like quick tips that are great to get started with mental practice too. It goes into way more detail there, but these are definitely the most time and energy efficient maintenance frameworks where you can just either perform it or just like think it really once a week or something. And your pieces that you will not completely forget them. And with the mental practice, obviously you can do that like when you're walking around or when you're at the airport, or you don't even need the effort of being at the piano in order to keep up those pieces. So it's quite amazing. And I'll just speak briefly to, there are other maintenance frameworks as well, but they may take more time. And so some examples are metronome cycling. So if you search David Chang metronome cycling, you'll hear me give some explanation about that. And that is like practicing through the piece at multiple different metronome speeds. So, that video goes into more explanation of how to do that. And you could do, one metronome speed or like every week or every 2 weeks. Like you could do any one of these strategies, but with less frequency than what you originally did. So you could do metronome cycling, but instead of doing like daily, like through all the speeds, you might do like every week you just do like one speed, nice and all out with accents. You can search David Chang all out with accents if you want to know about that particular layer of strategy. So what you were doing already, but it's less frequency overall. Writing the complete fingering. If you search David Chang complete planning of fingering or complete fingering or something like that, and or complete planning of musical detail, like these are different ideas where if you come back to this piece either later or honestly just maintenance in general, the fact that you've written all of it out, you will be able to immediately reference it and immediately recall like exact any spot in the music, separate or both hands, mentally or physically, without having to rack your brain for like, what was it again? Because I'm not actively practicing it. So it'll be a very good return on your time to just have that. And then the general idea of like logistical planning. So, I mean, maybe that is one of the most time, energy efficient maintenance frameworks, if you're somebody that doesn't hate that, of course. If you hate any one of these things, then don't do it. It might not be the highest return on your time and energy. So logistical planning, this would involve like writing in your planner or something, just like, okay, this is the 1 day a week that I'm going to perform, or this is the 1 day a week I'm going to do mental practice of the piece, or do like 1 metronome speed of this piece. And the tricky thing is you do want to follow through with this. So if you go on vacation for a week and you don't play piano for a week, you might want to have like 2 performances the following week or something to make up for it, or at least you get right back on schedule. So because it's just like this 1 time a week type of thing, if you skip it, it could have more potentially like, more impactful effects, like negative effects that you don't want. So I would advise sticking true to your plan and having counter measures and like backup plans. And so if you're gone for 3 weeks, what will you do? Maybe you can do some mental practice while you're gone, or maybe you can do performance more before you leave and after you come back to make up for when you were gone, and then follow through with what you say. And if you search like something like designing enjoyable life piano practice and life tasks or something, I have like at least 2 videos on that, and that's how you can design things so that you're more likely to actually want to do them, and you'll enjoy them, and you'll like doing it. So anyway, so I hope this was helpful. I really advise that you maintain at least some pieces so that you can play for others, play for yourself joyfully, and that your repertoire grows over time. And like I said, I think performance mental practice are the strongest, most time efficient, energy efficient frameworks, but there are other ones as well too. If you're curious about other things, you can also explore more on the channel through those different playlists. So if you found this valuable, please like, subscribe to the channel, let others know about it, and looking forward to the next video.